All right, welcome back, movement specialists, to another episode of Triplane Function. And boy, do we have a treat for you tonight. We're kicking off our muscle dysfunction series. So far, with all of our previous videos, if you've been tuning in, we've been taking a muscle that's relevant to you so you can see it, feel it, move it, and then kind of eventually teach it. Hopefully you've been teaching it to yourselves. Our muscle dysfunction series is going to really focus on the aspect of teaching. And so this is where we're going to take that muscle, and instead of put a TheraBand on it, give it a name, give it a face. Speaking of which, this is Stephan.
Hello.
Stephan, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate the fact that you've been able to tell us what's going on and opening up what's going on in your life in terms of what's been giving you some pain. Stephan's been telling us a little bit about how he's getting some lateral knee pain all the way down here with squatting. So with Triplane Function, we want to stick with the person's function. So very first thing I asked him whenever Stephan told me this, I said, well, Stephan, show me how you squat and do it 5 times for me. So Stephan, do 5 squats for us. 1, 2, 3, up 4, and last one. And 5, right about that 90-degree angle of his knee as he's coming up. You can see that he's starting to waver a little bit. What's going on there? Before we started this video, I decided to manipulate or tweak his squat position a little bit. I had him turn his toes in. Before you do this, Stephan, was that actually hurting you a little bit?
It was hurting.
The first,
yeah.
Okay. So now let's go ahead and do this squat. Completely awkward squat, probably the most awkward squat of his life. Go ahead and squat down for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stephan, did that hurt?
No.
What'd we do? Did his knee look better? I hope that you can see that in the video. He didn't have as much of a wavering. And all we did was manipulate this internal rotation of his hips, toe-in position. What muscle have you learned through watching these videos is very sensitive to this internal rotation? Glutes. If you haven't, go back and watch our Gluteus maximus video because maybe you can get an appreciation for what it does in all 3 planes of motion. But here, this is all about teaching it. So Stephan, if you don't mind, I think that a lot of what you're experiencing in the knee, that wobble, is not necessarily a knee issue. I think it's more that your butt's not really talking to your knees. I honestly don't think your butt has any idea where your knees are going. But by turning your toes in, waking up that butt, it gets a little bit. It's a little bit of a louder signal to know, for the butt to know where the knees are. And that's where I think it does actually a fairly good job of controlling it and why you don't get some pain. So we're going to go ahead and do a mobilization to loosen that butt up. Take you through a couple of squats again. But before, since we're highlighting the glutes, let's do a little bit of a pre-test. And that way, after we mobilize, we can do a post-test and see how much Stephan has changed. So we're here in the gym, and we're just going to use kind of whatever is available. You don't need special equipment. We got 2 chalk buckets. We got these 2 random tape lines on the floor. We're going to use these. So Stephan, in order to load up this right glute, I'm going to have you stand right here in the center, and I'm going to have you reach down and away. The most important part of this one is I don't want you to put very much pressure in the leg that we're not moving. If you can even do this in a single leg stance. If you don't quite have the balance, just barely toe tap gently. I want you to push this chalk bucket as far back behind you as you can, and I'm going to have you do the same thing with this other chalk bucket. Go ahead. Try to reach as far as you can. Good. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, let's do it on this left side. Kind of excited to see what's going to happen here. You push that a little bit more to the left, but even with this, Steve, if you don't mind, come up. We can get this side profile. Stephan's going to stay right there, so we can understand how this lines up. And I hope that you can see in this video, this kind of 3-dimensional space, that this right chalk bucket is significantly behind where this chalk bucket is. In other words, he wasn't able to push this one as far back as this one right here in front, because this is how he's lined up. I hope that you can get an appreciation for that. I'm not going to move these chalk buckets, nor are we going to move these tape lines on the floor. After we do some mobilizations, we're going to have Stephan redo this and see how much he's improved. Okay, so so Steve, let's come over here. So once again, we're just going to use whatever equipment that we have in the gym. If you're doing this at home, Stephen, you can use your couch, you can use anything. But I'm going to have you stand right here, really toe this left foot in, keep your left knee bent, prop this right foot on, and I want most of the pressure to stay on this left leg. This right one just going to be here for just a little bit of stability, and then I'm going to be helping you do some really big butt stretches. Maybe the first time you felt this deep of a butt stretch in your life. All right, so remember that gluteus maximus, and see if you don't mind, pull up your shirt just a little bit. Attaches here, comes down and around like this. So already by toeing in, we're increasing length in the transverse plane. I want to load them up a little bit more from the bottom up by going through this frontal plane, and he's already starting to cheat away from that transverse plane. And I really want you to bend forward just a little bit from the waist. And I'm going to ask you that you can let go of the shirt. You can just kind of reach through right here. All right, Stephen, what do you feel here?
I feel it in my butt.
Left cheek or right cheek?
My right.
In your right cheek.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought that's where you're maybe getting a little bit. Let's keep this forward. I'm really looking for more of a stretch in this left. Let's offload this one just a little bit more. Let's do the same thing. You're starting to cheat out of that just a little bit more. Stephen, where do you feel this one?
I feel it in the left.
And the left one a little bit more. So I'm just going to hold you right here. And with this right hand, I want you to punch underneath this one. And try to reach towards the camera. Try to reach towards Steve. Punch about 10 times for me. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are you getting a workout, Stephen?
Yeah.
7, 8, 9, and 10. Do you need a break or are you doing okay?
I'm doing all right.
Okay, let's go ahead and hold on to this bar with this hand. And with this left hand, let's reach up and over your head, like this. Ooh. Oh, hello! He doesn't like this frontal plane. Where do you feel this, Stephen?
My left butt.
Your left butt a whole lot more. I'm actually kind of holding them up here. He doesn't like this frontal plane much. All right, go ahead and relax off of that. Okay, so just doing that, we did about 10 reps of that transverse plane push through. We did about 5 reps, kind of, with a little bit of assistance of that frontal plane to load that butt. And without doing anything else, without even doing a strengthening exercise, which I believe that's maybe where the knees are wobbling a little bit. We just woke up his butt. Let's come right back over here, Stephen. Let's have you stand right here with your left foot here. Let's retest this left side and see if you can get any further. This is our first time going through this, everyone. If he gets some benefit, it's not just him not trying. Good. Not bad. Steve, come over here. Let's look at that side view. Stephen, great job with that. Now just you're doing, what was that? 20 seconds of mobilization. Looks to me like this left butt gets further back than this right butt. By probably about, I don't know, foot width, 4 inches, 5 inches or so. Stephen, that was a great job. Thanks for stretching that out. Now, out of curiosity, let's go ahead and face Steve here. Let's do one more squat for us. Go down and slowly come back up and see if his squat improved any. I don't know, maybe a little bit better. This is where sometimes, even with function, sometimes it's hard to know if you're seeing the right thing. I hope that we just did something for him in this squat. Sometimes you have to prove it. Not only prove it to your friend, your client, your patient, but then you can prove it to him by showing him by doing these pre-test, post-test. Wow, we've made some gain in just this left butt. Mm-hmm. Way to go.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for tuning in to our first episode of Muscle Dysfunction and Triplane Function. Man, this is exciting. Thanks again, Stephen. We'll see you next time.